What's going on? It's Suck and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech, and in today's video I shall be showing you the results that I got when running a number of different benchmarking tests on the 2022 iPad Air. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and if you are new around here then I must ask you to hit the subscribe button, clicking the bell to be notified of when I upload any of my new videos. Without any further ado, let's hit the titles. The first benchmarking application which I ran on this iPad Air was GeekBench 5, which is a good first test as it runs several different tests and algorithms, and depending on how it's performed and the time taken to perform them, it will then give a score accordingly. So for this iPad Air, I got a single core score of 1718, whereas I got a multi-core score of 7075. The next test I ran was once again from GeekBench 5, but this time from their compute lineup of tests, which are designed to test the performance of the M1's built-in GPU. It is worth noting the M1 in this iPad has 8 GPU cores, which is one more than that found in the entry MacBook Air. Anyway, for this test I got a score of 21,585. I then ran GeekBench's machine learning set of tests, which are designed to run several different tests on different aspects of this iPad Air's M1 system on a chip. Apple have been positioning itself over the last few years as a leader in the space when it comes to machine learning, so it's interesting to see how this iPad Air compares to other tablets, especially those in its price range. So here you can see the iPad Air 5th generation compared to previous models and even other Android tablets. It's interesting to see that you can see the vast improvements that Apple have been making when it comes to the neural engine. But that's partly down to the fact that Apple have just gone and slapped the M1 chip inside of this iPad Air. The vast improvements to the neural engine means that the CPU or GPU do not need to be used when it comes to recognizing text in images or even faces in images, and so much more. So you can see for this iPad Air, when running these machine learning tests on the CPU, I got a score of 926. When running them on the GPU, I got a score of 2838, and when running them through the neural engine, I got a score of 2748. So it's quite interesting to see how powerful the GPU in the M1 is, especially even when compared to the neural engine. The next benchmarking application that I ran on this iPad Air was GFXBench Metal, which is once again designed to test the performance of those 8 graphical cores when running graphics through Metal. Now GFXBench runs a number of different tests of both higher and lower levels of intensity, which are ran both on and off screen. So for this I have calculated the average across each category, but as always I shall show you each individual result. So the average that I got for the higher intensive graphical tasks was a frame rate of 150.82 frames per second, whereas for the lower I got a score of 208.49 frames per second. I then ran the Antutu graphics benchmark, which runs several different tests on the device, testing the CPU, GPU, the memory and more. It then gives a general score based on its performance. So for the Antutu test, I got a score of 1,017,433. I then ran the HTML browser test from Antutu and got a score of 67,729. I also ran the Antutu storage test on this iPad and got a general score of 55,244. So you can pause the video here and take a look at the sequential read and write speeds along with the speeds that I got when testing the system memory. Next, I ran a network speed test. Now, whilst I am paying for a 200 megabits per second speed, the Wi-Fi download speeds that I got were 217 megabits per second, and I also got upload speeds of 20.6 megabits per second. The next set of tests that I ran on this iPad Air were purely graphically based, coming from 3D Mark. The first test I ran was the wildlife graphics test and got a score of 10,021. So after getting this score, I decided to run the wildlife stress test. Now the highest score that I got when running this was 10,018 and the lowest I got was 9,592, which when compared to running the test on its own, I got a score of 10,021 to getting the lowest of 9,592. When the device was stressed the most, the drop in performance was under 5%, which is brilliant, especially when compared to other devices I've tested. I pretty much did the same thing again here, running the Wildlife Extreme stress test, which is, as the name would imply, a much more intense test which runs at a higher resolution. So when running this test, I got a score of 3,334, and when running the Wildlife Extreme stress test, the highest score I got was 3,436 and the lowest was 3,171, which is a higher decrease in performance of approximately 8%, which is still better than most devices. The final test I ran on this iPad Air was an export of a 4K video project. Now the project had an entire length of 5 minutes and 24 seconds. This was exported using iMovie and it took 3 minutes and 8 seconds to complete. So if you would like to see this device tested, compared and then finally reviewed, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified of when any new videos go live. Of course, if you have got any video suggestions or anything you'd like to see tested, then be sure to let me know by hitting me up over on my social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram, links to which can be found down below in this video description. Once again, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.